This has been flying under the radar. It really has. TJ Watt and the defensive player of the year. I don't know if it's because, Steelers have been on this losing streak. I don't know if it's because no one's running away with the award right now for being the DPOY. But look at this, man. Why is TJ Watt getting no love? If there were to be a guy that is deserving of winning the DPOY right now, like I said, I don't think anyone's like blowing the field away. But if there was a guy to win it, TJ Watt would be very deserving. TJ Watt, 16 sacks. Michael Parsons, 12.5. Myles Garrett, 13. TJ Watt, 16 tackles for loss. Michael Parsons, 14. Myles Garrett, 14. TJ Watt, a pick. Myles Garrett, Michael Parsons. Don't have one of those. All right, cool. Myles Garrett, you have one more forced fumble. Michael Parsons, all right, cool. You have 5 more assists on tackle than TJ Watt. Those are the only 2 things you can name claim to, because everything else, touchdowns, QB hits, passes defended, combined tackles, solo tackles, though those all belong in TJ Watt's favor. But why, when we're looking at the sports books here, why is TJ Watt third in terms of favorites to win the award? Why? Michael Parsons at -110, Myles Garrett +185, TJ Watt +350. Then you got DaRon Bland with the 5 picks for touchdowns, return for touchdowns at plus 2,500. Yeah, when he was getting cooked on Thanksgiving, the Defensive Player of the Year award went out the window for him. Any consideration for that? But yeah, it comes down to these 3: Parsons, Garrett, and Watt. Like, what's going on here, man? The anti-biasness towards, is it just the Steelers? Is it TJ Watt? Is crazy right now. If you're saying TJ Watt is that much of an underdog compared to Michael Parsons and Myles Garrett for this award, considering he has better stats across the board, there's not even a debate to this. He beats out Myles Garrett by 3 sacks. He beats out Michael Parsons by 3.5 sacks. And then every other statistical category he's better at. Outside of forced fumbles, he's 1 less than Garrett, and then he's 5 less than Michael Parsons on assists on tackles. Cool. But aren't sacks the big things for edge rushers? Isn't that the big thing to focus on? And he blows them out of the water. And I was going to say, too, at least, no matter what, this should be going to TJ Watt because of the snubs that took place a couple years ago for the DPOY. TJ Watt was snubbed of at least 1, maybe 2. You could maybe argue 2 DPOYs back in 2019 and in 2020. But it's not even about the snubs, because if you want to take that out of it, he's just straight up more deserving than anyone else right now. Just straight up. Like, if you mean to tell me those are the 3 guys in contention, it seems pretty clear to me. I'm really confused. Why would it be anyone else right now? I am very, very confused. So let's see if TJ Watt, I guess he's got a chance at the record still. For these last 3, he would have to really go off. He would have to get 2.5 sacks a game, pretty much. The record's that he would break it at 23. Isn't it 22.5? He would break it at 23. So if he got 2, 2, and then 3, I mean, he'd have to go off. He would definitely have to go off to get the sack record. But even if he ends up with 20 or 21, and Garrett, Parsons, maybe they get a few more, that's still enough to give TJ the Defensive Player of the Year award. There's no doubt in my mind. But I wanted to get to one more thing here. And since we're talking about TJ Watt, he had some really interesting quotes. And this makes the show go full circle here, because it kind of relates to some of the Pickens stuff. Rich Eisen, I guess he was doing an interview with TJ before the last Colts game, because Rich Eisen, Kurt Warner, they were on the call on NFL Network. TJ says it's wild that some of them don't want to practice. This goes back to Steeler culture, Steeler way. He said it's wild that some of them don't want to practice or want to practice in a way that everyone is supposed to practice. And there's more. Says it's wild some of them don't want to practice. I'm reading the full quote here. Don't want to practice like the way everyone's supposed to practice. Basically, I just said that. And then you saw the result. Now you could sit there and say Tomlin's got to change his way. I believe this is Eisen talking here. Sorry for some of the confusion. But he paraphrased that TJ Watt also said that the younger generation takes criticism personally, and how that he didn't call it a problem. I just inferred that it was. Okay, I'm actually confusing myself here a little bit. But in essence, I think what TJ is getting at is some of these players taking criticism personally, and they don't practice the way they should be practicing. That's not good, man. That's really not good. And I had a theory this morning. After reading this quote, I slept on it. I kind of had a theory, and this does go back to Tomlin. Tomlin is at the head of all this. He is the leader. He is the head coach, right? Tomlin, when he came in back in 2007 to be the Steelers head coach, what team did he have? He had a bunch of veteran dudes, guys that were good at football, Pro Bowlers, you had some all pros, but also guys that were not that much older than Tomlin was heading in. So I feel like it's smart of Tomlin at that time to come in and be maybe a little bit more of a player's coach. Let the players regulate themselves in a way. Add his own wrinkles, add his own flavor of being a head coach. But at the same time, these guys won a Super Bowl just a couple years ago. They know what they're doing. But then you still had Ben for all the following years. You still had good veteran players. I know you had to bring some dudes in through the draft, in the 2010s, had to revamp, reload the team and everything. But then you had some really good players in like AB, Le'Veon Bell. You had leaders in Pouncey, DeCastro. Defense, you drafted dogs like Ryan Shazier. So I think that strategy that Tomlin came in with was still working because you had guys. But now we're almost a decade removed from that, like the second iteration of Tomlin's coaching tender, where you're getting this new generation, this Gen Z stuff. And I'm wondering if that approach that Tomlin took is just not it right now. But that's why I still say you give the dude a chance to reevaluate his approach and how he does things. Maybe he has to be more hands-on. Maybe he has to take on more of a dictator role and be less of a player's coach and be less coddling and expect the players to be able to get the things done on their own and be professionals on their own. Now, if you're looking for that, if you're looking for that type of player hold on, let me rephrase this. If you have those guys in the locker room, maybe you also don't have the right guys, right? Because I don't think you should be coddling dudes or having to always motivate them on a week in and week out basis. You also do have to have guys that just flat out want it. But maybe Tomlin does need to adjust a little bit. But this leads me to my last thing I want to say. And I saw this on Instagram. Polamalu, he had a Hall of Fame speech like a couple years ago, 2021. And I'll read the full quote. But yeah, this just made me think, do we have this in our locker room right now? Do we have what Troy Polamalu is talking about here? Like I said, I'll read you the full quote. You could see part of it on the Instagram caption. But he said, to be a Steeler is to consider others before you consider yourself, to protect your brother, even from himself, to give support, even at your own expense. And when wearing the black and gold suit of armor, make sure nobody desecrates it, disrespects it. Most important, we ourselves don't dishonor it. The only approval any Steeler should seek is to earn the approval of previous legends who have donned the black and gold. And if you have truly earned their respect, they'll say, you could have played with us. We're definitely missing that right now. I don't think it's all the players. I don't even think it's the majority of the players. But there's definitely some that make you question, man, like, why are we accepting those few players that aren't up to this point displaying the Steeler way or what it means to be a Steeler? Why are we putting up with this? Like, changes are going to have to happen. And Tomlin has said as much, that changes will happen. What does that mean? How soon? When? Will it be this offseason? Will it be this game? Who knows? Who knows? But we are starting to hit like this breaking point as an organization here. And we're going to have to look ourselves in the mirror, seriously, and get players in here that want to be here, get coaches that know how to coach these players in the right way. for 2023. Like you still need that old school blue collar mentality here. But you also got to get up with the times a little bit. A little bit, right? You got to adjust. And again, I would give Tomlin the chance to do that. Get the new coaching staff, to get the right players in here. Because, as I've said, he's proven to be objectively a good coach in this league. Give him one more year. Let him play out his contract and see what happens. But we definitely got to get back to what Polamalu is talking about here. Let me see what you guys are saying, and then I will head out of here. Appreciate everyone for showing up. Kevin GZ says, Deke, going back to the Kazee stuff. Kazee had 5 fines for unnecessary roughness before this, so I can understand from the NFL's point of view. I don't even remember those hits, though, to be honest. Going back to what I said, I don't remember any of the big hits or the cheap shots that he was taking on guys. Kevin GZ, Deke, what position would you look to get in the first round of the draft? We got to see what we look like in the offseason. Right now, I think we got to revamp this O-line for sure. Because I would say get a corner early. Like, I would like to get a guy opposite JPJ. We definitely need an inside linebacker. I'm just thinking, like right now, maybe we could start rebuilding the O-line almost like we did with Pouncey and DeCastro. We drafted Broderick. Maybe we give a draft pick or two to, an offensive line and build it up that way. Get a couple young dudes in here, and then they'll be franchise staples at that position for, the next 5-6 years. At least, hopefully everything works out. That's the thing. We drafted O-line and Pouncey and DeCastro, and they ended up being good players. Like, you could draft dudes and they don't end up being good players. That's the other thing. It doesn't mean if you pick someone in the first round, they're automatically going to be good for you or going to be a Steeler. We've seen that with Devin Bush. So you just got to hope Broderick's got that. He's been slipping a little bit recently, but I feel like he's got that dog in him. Kevin GZ, the TJ disrespect is wild. This year should be his 3rd DPOY season in 4 seasons. At least 2. Or wait, yeah, third. Because I would argue maybe the first one in 2019, I can understand why he didn't get that. But the 2021, he definitely should have got. And then he finally did win the award in 2021. So yeah, it'd be 3 and 4 seasons. Should be 3. But if you want to count the 2019 snub, that would be 4. That'd be 4 DPOYs. Kevin GZ, I feel like the way the NFL is transitioning, there are many DBs and receivers you can find in late rounds. St. Brown from the Lions with a fourth rounder. Pickens is replaceable. For sure. He's really talented, but at the same time, it's like a poison, man. It's like venomous. Like that type of attitude, that type of approach can spread amongst the locker room because it goes back to what I said. What's the message you're sending if you allow this? You got dudes that want to give it their all, but when they see that you're allowing dudes that don't give their all an opportunity, then it's like, man, what's the point? It sends mixed signals. All right, yeah, I like this one. We'll close out with this one. K9S says score predictions for Saturday. Okay. KP8 plays. We're getting like 23, 24. Bengals are getting 17. That's the score. If Mason, I think we maybe get less points. I think we get like 20 maybe with Mason. I think it's like 20-17 with Mason. KP, I think we get in like that 24 range. I think we do a little bit better on offense with KP. No Jamar Chase for the Bengals, so that should help us. No Minka for us, though. No Kazee for us. That hurts. At least we get a week of prep to figure it out. Home game. Browning really didn't do that good against us, but we did have Minka and Kazee in for that game. And Browning has got better since. I'm rolling with our guys, though. I'm going 24-17. 24-17 with Pickett. 20-17 with Mason. K9S says, Dub, let's go. Bounce back week. Sneak in the playoffs. We still can. Turn it around. That's all we got right now because we've been playing bad. Based off what we've been putting out there this season, I get it if you don't have much hope, but it is the NFL. It's a week-to-week league. It's a week-to-week business. And if KP's out there, I do think he gives us a better chance to win. I think he's the better quarterback over Mason, so that should help. But stay chilling, everyone. Thanks for stopping through, and I will see you guys next week. I think on Monday. I think we're dropping a Christmas episode. So I'll see you guys then. Stay chilling. Peace out.